Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Whitfield Analysis. I am Sam Whitfield, your host, broadcasting live from NGC1 here in Southern Florida, and I want to thank you so much for joining me here tonight. The contact info, as always, you can email me, sam@thesamwhitfield.com. That is also the website, thesamwhitfield.com. You can follow me on Twitter at samw_NGC, hashtag WA Radio Show, and you can call the voicemail line 941-564-5805. And once again, welcome to the show. Folks, one thing, I just have to say this. I'm sorry for the technical glitch there. The Spreaker desktop recording app, for some reason, it doesn't always save my settings. That first audio clip there, or the intro music, is always supposed to is always supposed to kind of mute itself whenever I start talking, but for whatever reason, it didn't. And so, because of that, the intro was a little unprofessional there, but forgive me. I did manage to get it ducked, so hopefully you could hear me there okay. Alright, folks, on last night's show, I talked a lot about the New Hampshire primary and how I am just annoyed with the Republican Party right now because Donald Trump is the front runner, and nobody in the movement right now seems to understand that he's a liberal and whatnot. I went off on a whole tangent about that last night, and for those of you expecting me to go full-bore into election politics tonight, I'm not going to do that. I did that last night, so if you're expecting more election coverage, go listen to last night's program. But tonight, it's Friday, it's pretty close to the weekend, and I've been dying to talk about one specific topic, which is the Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, in the Super Bowl 50, and believe it or not, this does tie into politics somewhat, ladies and gentlemen, because as always, the left has to make everything political. But before we begin, I want to do two quick things. I would like to welcome our guests in the chat room. Zach Angel, as always. Zach in Philly is in the chat room. So hello, Zach. Good evening. It's great to see you. You can chime in our chat room anytime by going to Spreaker and by searching the Whitfield Analysis on NGC1, and that's where you'll find a link to the show. You can also follow the Facebook page, where you'll be able to find announcements over there if you search for the Whitfield Analysis on Facebook. And I have a big announcement, and one that I've been waiting for about a week to announce. Two of them, actually. The first one is so big that I really can't even believe I'm able to make this announcement. But ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to announce that as of 11 o'clock last night, the Whitfield Analysis and my blog, at thesamwhitfield.com, I now have an official app out on the App Store for the iPhone. You can, if you go to the App Store and type in my name, Sam Whitfield, into the search box, you'll be able to find an app called Sam Whitfield. And if you download this app, you can, it's really cool. It'll allow you to get access to my blog on the go. You can listen to any of my podcasts on demand 24/7 from the app. And you can watch my YouTube videos. Not that I have all that many videos on there yet, but still you can find my channel. And you can also view my tweets and view my Instagram posts. A lot of you have been complaining about the website not being fully good on your mobile device. And I'll admit, the website it's not bad, but it's not that great on mobile operating systems either. So I figured I'd look into developing a native app for the iPhone, and the company that I'm partnering with allowed us to do it for free, so it was of no cost to us, and it's of no cost to the listener either. So again, if you would like to go and download the free app on the App Store, and if you could do that and help support the show, I would really appreciate that. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to announce that I now have a page up on Patreon. Patreon.com is similar to Kickstarter.com in the sense that you can crowdfund your favorite podcasts and YouTube channels. That's basically what Patreon is. So if you go to patreon.com/Whitfield, you will see my page there. And I'm asking for $2 for a $2 donation per episode. And if you do decide to become a patron and you do decide to become a financial supporter of the show, you will get access to bonus content that I am going to be putting up there, such as old podcast episodes from previous runs, interviews that never got aired, extra blog posts, daily tidbits. That's all for $2 per episode, less than a cup of coffee. At $5 per episode, if you decide to go to the next tier, you will get a shout out on air for your contribution, and you will get a free copy of my short story, American Instinct. At $10, you will be invited to a Google Hangout at the end of each month, where you can hang out with me and basically chat just about anything. Ask me questions about the show. And then for $15, which is the biggest package per episode, if you decide to contribute $15 to the program, I will have you on the show to promote your product or your brand. So whether you're a podcaster or a YouTuber or a blogger, whatever you are into, and you have something that you would like to promote, I will invite you on. We'll have you on for a segment, and you'll be able to promote your product. So again, go to patreon.com/Whitfield and help support the show. The reason I am doing this is because I do have some expenses that I would like to help cover with the show. I would like to help invest to make the show a little bit better. So by helping to contribute to the show, you will be helping me, and you will be helping the show audience too. Now, I won't be charging you for the podcast itself. The podcast itself and the show is still going to remain free. But this is a little extra way to get some bonus content and help the show so that I can still keep doing this for free. Alright, so those are all the announcements. Again, you can go check out our app and go support me on Patreon if you would. Alright, folks, so Super Bowl 50. I've been dying for a week to talk about this, and I'm really excited that the Broncos won the Super Bowl. I mean, I am thrilled. The Denver Broncos have not won a Super Bowl since I was 3 years old prior to this one. The last time we went into the Super Bowl was 2 years ago, and I admitted this on air about 2 years ago, but honestly, folks, we did not play well against the Seattle Seahawks. We totally stank, and we did not do well at all whatsoever. And we just simply didn't deserve the Super Bowl trophy 2 years ago. It was a dismal performance. This year, we really turned it around, not only at the Super Bowl, but throughout our entire season. And one of the things that Denver has really become known for is their defense. As a team, our defense has been incredible to watch. And there is no doubt in my mind that Von Miller definitely deserves the MVP title because he absolutely earned it 100% in my opinion. Now, there are those who are saying that, well, that's good, that's all well and good, but Peyton Manning should have played better, he didn't play so well, and, there weren't that many good passes, and the game was kind of rough and tumble. And listen, folks, football in reality is not like football in the movies, okay? In the movies, every pass is pitch perfect, and every pass in the movies is aesthetically pleasing, and, I'm as much of a fan of beautiful passes as the next guy. But when it comes down to reality, a win is a win, and it might not have been pretty, but I'm really happy that the Broncos did well. I thought the Broncos did a good job of defending Peyton. Yeah, he could have played a little better, but again, I think Peyton actually played pretty well. For his condition, considering that he's getting up there in age, and like I said, the defense for the Broncos is just totally monstrous. And one of the things that really impresses me about Denver's defense is their ability to get inside the head of the offense. We saw this a couple weeks ago with Tom Brady, okay? Tom Brady, who really, because of his whole thing with Deflategate, let's just say that in terms of integrity, Tom Brady really isn't doing it for me right now. Tom Brady's gotten a little bit cocky, I think. He thinks that he's the best quarterback in the NFL. There's no denying that he is one of the best quarterbacks. But it was very interesting to see the Broncos' defense get inside his head. You could tell at the AFC Championship game that the more we pounded him with defense, the more inside his head we got, and therefore the more our And the more we got inside his head, the more he fumbled and made mistakes. Same thing with Cam Newton. You could obviously tell at the beginning of the game, Cam Newton was cocky. He was showing off a little of his arrogance. He was doing his whole Superman routine. And as ESPN so eloquently put it, the Denver defense was the kryptonite to Cam Newton's Superman routine. I mean, you could just tell by the end of by the beginning of the third quarter, he was just frustrated that the defense kept getting to him. He was anxious. He looked like he didn't really know what to do. He couldn't believe what happened, and then when we finally won the game, he didn't even want to talk to reporters. Now, in regards to that, because there's been a whole controversy as of the last few days, was Cam Newton a good sport or not? Was that poor sportsmanship that he displayed? To be quite honest, folks, at the beginning of the week, I was totally in the camp of Cam Newton acted unprofessional. He should be ashamed of himself, and it's bad sportsman. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, as the week has gone on, I've heard some other viewpoints on that. And look, I understand, folks, that losing the Super Bowl is devastating when you're the losing team, okay? The Broncos, don't forget, were in that position 2 years ago, right? We got absolutely humiliated by the Seahawks, and it was a crushing defeat, so much so that no one even wanted to talk about it. It was one of those things where, don't talk to me about the Super Bowl game when that happened. I mean, it was just really disappointing because it was a bitter, bitter pill to swallow. I get that. I understand that. My issue with Cam Newton is the fact, not so much that he was a sore loser, but that he really was acting rude to some of the reporters out there and just some of the people in general. I don't care if you're a rookie or a 3-time Super Bowl champion. Poor manners and acting rude, there's no excuse for it, no matter who you are. And again, I just don't think that behavior was very appropriate from Cam Newton. Like I said, I understand that he's disappointed, but it really just kind of disappointed me. I don't know. I think he is going to be a great quarterback in the future. I hope he's learned some humility from this incident, and I am really looking forward to his to watching his career as the years go on, because I do think he is talented from what I've seen of him, so I'm not totally bashing on him. I think he has great potential and he'll be fun to watch. I just hope he learns some humility after this incident, and if he's smart, he will, and I think he will. I really do. Alright, so another issue, and I've actually gotten tweets about this regarding the Broncos and regarding the Super Bowl, is there's this big question as to whether or not Peyton Manning will retire after this season. He hasn't come out and said anything. as to whether or not he'll retire. But honestly, folks, I think it's pretty safe to say that he will. I mean, he's almost 40 years old. He's one of the oldest quarterbacks in the NFL. Judging from his performance at the Super Bowl, he's not in as good of a shape as he once was. He bruises really easily now. Of course, when you're a football player and you're that age, you do tend to bruise a lot just in general. So I'm not really discrediting him. I'm just saying that a lot of people think that he's going to retire after this season, and yeah, I have to agree with a lot of people that I do think he is going to retire. And I think that he really wanted to play this last season and make it to the Super Bowl. And folks, I gotta give him credit. He went out swinging and he won the Super Bowl. He's tied with Eli for Super Bowl rings now. And I think he's going to... I do think he is going to retire. Everyone in Denver kind of knows that that's what he's going to do at this point. And let me put it this way. I would be more surprised if he came back to play for another season than if he decided to announce that he was going to retire. Now, another question that I've been getting from a lot of people is, well, if he retires, will he stay in Denver or go back to Indianapolis? And this is actually a question that I know the answer to definitively. And for all you Denverites out there, if you've been reading the Denver Post, you know this answer as well. Peyton Manning said a couple years ago, I believe it was like a year after his first season, after the end of his first season with the Broncos, he said that he would be for sure retiring in Denver and planting roots in Denver. One of the big reasons for this is because his two kids go to school in Colorado. They have friends in Colorado, and he wants to raise his kids in Colorado. In fact, a friend told me that his two kids actually go to the same elementary school that I went to when I was a kid. So that's pretty cool that they're going to my alumni for elementary school. They'll probably most likely end up going to my high school as well. And who knows, Peyton Manning's son could play football for Cherry Creek High School, which is my high school. And that would be really cool. I don't know if I ever told you this, but on air, folks, but John Elway's son, Jack, actually played for my high school. He played high school football. He graduated a year before I did. He graduated a year before I came in. Excuse me. So, or maybe he graduated the year I started high school. I can't really remember, but it's one of those two. He either graduated the year before I entered into high school, or he graduated my freshman year of high school. Either way, from what my teachers tell me, he wasn't that good of a football player. But when your dad is John Elway, I suppose living up to that legacy is probably... I mean, those are pretty hard shoes to fill. But from what the teachers told me, he was always a good student and pretty much a good kid just in general. John never allowed him to use his celebrity status to, get favors from teachers or, to throw his weight around, which is smart. I really do think that is smart. So, yeah, that's a little fun tidbit right there. Now, here is one thing, kind of going back to the Super Bowl, and this kind of treads more into the political arena. I'm going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I would like to talk about the Super Bowl commercials and some of the controversy surrounding the Super Bowl, as mentioned by social justice warriors. They're really starting to tick me off right now. So, as I said, folks, we don't have any advertisements as of right now, so I'm just going to be playing some smooth jazz. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. You're listening to the Whitfield Analysis. I'll be right back after this. Alright folks, welcome back to the program. I just sent the link again for those of you on Facebook. Hopefully you can tune in. So, with all that in mind, I want to begin talking about the Super Bowl commercials, and I want to break some of them down. By the way, that song I played during the intermission, that is a smooth jazz song called The Whole Truth by a smooth jazz group out of San Diego called Fatburger. And that album is unfortunately out of print now. I'm into smooth jazz, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm really into 80s smooth jazz. That was kind of before, smooth jazz kind of in the early 2000s kind of became like pop music where everything became computerized, but 80s smooth jazz, which was kind of early smooth jazz, is just really good. So, unfortunately though, that song is out of print, but you can find Fatburger's music on Amazon. Okay. So I did my plug there so I don't get sued or anything like that. Anyway though, I want to talk a little bit about these ads that aired during the Super Bowl, and I want to talk about the Super Bowl halftime show as well, folks. Honestly, ladies and gentlemen, if I can be completely honest with you, when it came to both the Super Bowl halftime show and the advertisements, for the most part, I really wasn't all that impressed. And for those of you who are in the chat room, who are logged into the Spreaker chat room, I'd love to hear your opinion on what you guys thought of the Super Bowl commercials and the halftime show, or just about the game in general. For me, starting off with the Super Bowl halftime show, okay? I like Coldplay's music. I'm one of these people. I don't love Coldplay. I don't adore Coldplay, but I don't hate Coldplay either. I grew up in the generation of listening to Clocks and listening to Viva La Vida, and a bunch of the other Coldplay albums. So I definitely like their music. However, I've seen Coldplay. I haven't seen them live, but I've watched enough of their performance. They performed at the iTunes Music Festival a couple of years ago, and they did a terrific job there. I've watched a couple of their other concerts on YouTube where they've been really, really strong. And they've given a great performance. Coldplay can definitely give a good performance when they put their mind to it. What happened at the Super Bowl, I'm not exactly sure. Their Super Bowl performance, honestly, it didn't really even seem real. It seemed like... It kind of seemed like it was almost recorded in advance, or maybe like recorded in advance and then choreographed. At one point, like my mom, we were watching the Super Bowl, and she turned to me and she asked, "Is this live right now?" The halftime performance seemed really, really fake to me. Yeah, Zach in the chat room just said halftime show wasn't live music. It should be live. And yeah, Zach, that's what I'm saying. It didn't feel real to me at all. And there was way too much going on there. I really didn't like the fact that they had just that mob of preteens and teenagers in the crowd up close. I could barely hear the band at all. Of course, now that Zach is mentioning that it wasn't even live music, it probably doesn't even matter anyway. But it just felt choreographed to me in general, and I didn't like that at all. The other thing that I really did not like about the Super Bowl halftime show this year, and this is actually something that's bothered me for the last couple years, is, and Zach, I believe I brought this up on one of your Facebook posts earlier in the week, but ladies and gentlemen, I've noticed a trend over like the past 4 years or so. When it comes to Super Bowl halftime shows, they always announce that there's going to be one performer doing the Super Bowl halftime show, right? But then when the show actually like occurs, they bring in like maybe like 3 or sometimes maybe 4 acts in total. This year they had Coldplay, but then for some reason they decided to bring in Bruno Mars and Beyonce. Now, I actually like Bruno Mars. I like his music, and he's a very good live performer. I think Bruno Mars, in terms of live performances, could easily be the next Michael Jackson. So, nothing against Bruno Mars, but I really just feel like they tried to cram in too much stuff into the halftime show. And back when I was a kid, I know I'm sounding old, but back in my day, folks, I remember when I was in elementary school and middle school and even beginning into high school, the Super Bowl, like, I remember when the Rolling Stones played. I was in 6th grade, and that was actually the first time I had heard of the Rolling Stones, was when they played, I think it was Super Bowl 40 or 41 or something like that. And the Rolling Stones put on a good show. It was just them, and for a couple of old guys, they really put on a good show. Keep in mind, I had never heard of them before. I was so impressed with their performance that was kind of what spurred me on to check out the Rolling Stones, and then later on become a fan of the Rolling Stones. I've always loved The Who, so of course I loved The Who's halftime performance. Again, very, very strong in my opinion. And same thing with Bruce Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen, I feel like, was one of the last like really good Super Bowl halftime shows, ladies and gentlemen. Ever since then, though, they've started doing this thing where they'll bring in like 3 acts and try and cram them in less than 30 minutes. And really, folks, it just annoys me, because rather than getting one good act that really rocks the house, it feels to me as if they're trying to cobble together 3 mediocre acts. And also, I feel like they're kind of insulting people's attention spans. Of course, I know we have lower attention spans than we did a few years ago, because it seems like they're constantly saying to us, hey, look, there's Coldplay, okay. Look, now there's Beyonce, and okay, look, there's Bruno Mars. They kept shifting things around too much, and it's just, it just seems like they're trying to cram in too much into these shows. Zach says we're not living in the days of megastars any longer. And sadly, Zach, you're right. It's not even the fact that we're not living in the days of megastars any longer. We're not living in the days of good performances any longer. And that's what I care about. Look, if San Francisco, if there were a local band that wanted to do the Super Bowl that no one had ever heard of, if there were a local band and they were brand new and no one had ever heard of them, if they wanted to play the Super Bowl, I would be completely okay with that. I would be completely okay with that as long as they were good. I don't care if they're a megastar. I don't care if you're an independent artist just starting out. If you're good, I'm gonna like listening to you. If you're not good, I'm not going to like listening to you. And going on and moving forward with Beyonce, I do want to address that real quick because I've got to end here and start another segment here soon. So Zach, stand by. Don't click off quite yet. But I do want to say one thing about Beyonce's performance. I understand that conservatives are upset by that. Really, the Black Lives Matter thing was totally inappropriate to bring up during the Super Bowl. I agree with that. And I feel that a lot of people share that opinion. But to be honest, I didn't even really catch what Beyonce said just because like I said, the halftime performance was so inaudible that I really couldn't make any sense of it. Okay, folks, when we come back next segment, after this, I'm going to start a new live stream. We're going to be talking more about the Super Bowl commercials and just in general some of this ridiculous social justice stuff. So hold on while I go on to meet you in part 2 of the Whitfield analysis for tonight's broadcast. You're listening to NGC1. We'll be right back.